If you're looking for a way to travel more without spending a fortune, this might be a tool you can actually use. I tried Frontier's GoWild Pass on real trips, and today I'll show you exactly what it can do and how you can make the most of it. Hey, I'm Andre and welcome to Go Travels. As someone who has worked and been a passenger on cruise ships and someone who has been traveling on a budget for years, I have a ton of knowledge that I am ready to share. Today we're talking about Frontier's GoWild All-You-Can-Fly Pass. At the time of recording this, it's currently on sale for $349. I believe there's a Black Friday deal going on. It's usually $599. Before you go running out to buy it, there's a few things you should know to make sure this is something for you. Now, my wife and I went on a recent weekend trip from Phoenix, Arizona to Denver, Colorado using this pass. Now, Frontier says you can book flights 24 hours ahead for domestic flights. But the truth is you can actually book at midnight the day before your departure. Meaning in our case, our flight was on Friday, so we booked it on Thursday at midnight. So I was ready on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. refreshing the page to make sure we booked that flight as soon as we could. Now, Phoenix to Denver is a pretty easy flight to get, considering that Denver is Frontier's hub. But I've had a few flights where I had to take a layover to get to my final destination. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So something to know is that you're not able to book your return flight until the day before your flight. So we were coming back on Sunday. So I had to do the same thing where I, waited till midnight till we can book our flight back. Now, all of my 3 to 4 flights that I've done with Frontier's All-You-Can-Fly Pass has been pretty smooth with minor delays and no cancellations so far. Now, you may think once you pay your GoWild membership fee, all the flights after that will be free. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. You still have to pay some taxes and fees. They tend to be about $15 per leg for domestic flights. You also have to pay a hefty 1-cent fee for fare. So in our case, we paid about $30 each for a round trip. Not bad. Now, you can't use this pass every day of the year. There are some blackout dates, usually around holidays and high traffic dates. So if you want to travel during those days, you do have to pay full price. Now, you can also use this pass for Frontier's international locations. For that, you can book your flights 10 days in advance. Unfortunately, if you want to pick your seat, you will have to pay extra for that. Also, any checked bags or any carry-on luggage, you have to pay for that as well. And if you've flown on Frontier or Spirit, that's where the price starts to add up. So you definitely want to be careful with that. Now, you can bring a personal item, something you can put under the seat in front of you. So, if you can pack light, that's probably recommended. Now, you can have a better experience depending on your airline point status. In our case, we're Elite Silver members, so we are able to pick our seat for free and there's no change or cancel fees. Of course, the higher the tier, the better the benefits. Some of them you're able to bring on a free carry-on and stuff like that. It might be hard for us to get up to the next tier, which is Elite Gold. From what it looks like, you only get points for the fare you pay. And since we only pay 1-cent fare, you only get 1 point. So considering I need like 9,000 points to get to Elite Gold, I may be here for a while. Maybe there's ways around that, but I'm comfortable with it. Another thing I want to mention is in-flight comfort. Frontier, let's say the best entertainment in flight that you get is looking out the window. There's no screens on the back of the TVs or anything like that. They don't provide any movies or shows for you to watch if you connect to the Wi-Fi. In fact, there is no Wi-Fi. You can't purchase Wi-Fi on Frontier. So that's something to know. No drinks or snacks are included. They're relatively small seats compared to other flights, and so are the tray tables. So if you're trying to get some work done on the flight, it might be a little hard. Now, when it comes to flight availability, I haven't had any major issues on getting flights on the days I want, as long as it's not a blackout date, of course. I will say sometimes we have to do an early morning flight or a late night flight because there tends to be more seats on those flights. So if you like to have a flight from 8 to 5 p.m., it may be a little hard, but it's not too bad for us. Now, the big question is it worth it? Well, you have to ask yourself a few questions to know if it's worth it for you. First, are you okay with layovers? It depends on where you live. If you live in Denver, you're going to have no problem getting to where you need to be, considering that's Frontier's hub. But if you live somewhere else that's a little more remote, are you comfortable with flying to, Denver or another larger airport to get to your final destination? I will say those taxes and fees apply per leg. So if you have 2 or 3 flights to get to your final destination, you're gonna have to pay 15 times however many flights you have. So that's something to consider because that can add up. Also, is the price worth it for you? When I bought it, it was $299. Right now, at the time of recording this, is $349. Usually it's $599. So for me, if I had to pay $599 for this pass, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. For some other people, it might be worth it, especially if you live in Denver. But I'm glad I got the $299. But I will say this pass is on sale a lot, so just keep an eye out for that. Do you have a flexible schedule? For me, I work remotely, so that gives me a lot of flexibility. But if you have to report in person for work and you have a strict PTO policy, you may want to consider that before making the purchase. And how often do you see yourself using the pass? If you only see yourself using it 2 or 3 times, well, depending on how much you paid for the pass, you might as well just buy those round trips at full price. It may be cheaper, about the same price. But if you're going to use it more than that, in my case, I've used it, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times, and I plan to use it even more. It's been beneficial for me. I have some great videos coming out on tips and tricks on traveling, so hit that subscribe button so you do not miss them. I hope this information was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments on this pass, let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Until then, travel safe.